Hello and welcome back to the MMA Karen. Today I'm going to be whining and moaning and complaining about the BT Sport preview for UFC 287. I watched it the other day and listened to it as well, and I had so many moments where I thought to myself, oh my god, I can't believe they just said that. That's such a bad take. It actually hurts my brain. So today I'm going to go through their video and point out some of the moments that really annoyed me. We've got Voldemort on the left, Adam Catterall. We got Michael Bisping in the middle. And we got Darren Till's best friend on the right-hand side, who I will be covering throughout this video, Nick Peet. We move on to the first moment in this video that really annoyed me, and I think really annoyed a lot of people, and it's this moment right here.
Still say this is a bold statement. Adesanya is still the most technical or the most gifted striker that we have in the middleweight division.
Not a bold statement, by the way. Most technical striker is a very normal statement to make about Israel Adesanya, but either way, this is not the bit that annoyed me. It's the bit that comes up.
But the equalizer is the power of Alex Pereira. He was losing that fight. He was getting out-grappled. He was getting beaten on the feet. He was getting made a mockery of almost. Until round 5.
He was losing the fight. He was getting beaten on the feet, beaten on the ground. He was getting made a mockery of almost. He won round 2. He was winning round 1 until the last second of the round. Round 4 was competitive, but Adesanya edged it out, and Adesanya won round 3. Pereira was winning round 5 until catching Adesanya with the shot that put him away eventually. Making a mockery of Alex Pereira throughout the fight, like he was winning every single round clearly and dominating, winning the stand-up and the ground game. Israel Adesanya clearly lost round 2 to Alex Pereira, and again was losing round 1 until the very last second of that round. This really annoyed me to listen to. It's so annoying. Because it's like, you haven't watched. And this is someone who commentates on the fights as well. So I'm more worried about what he's going to be saying on commentary, if he is on commentary this weekend. Because, oh my god. It's so annoying to made a mockery of him. Oh, really?
His corner Glover to share, and the other people there said, come on, you got to go out there. Kind of like Leon Rocky Edwards last year at Salt Lake City. They gave him the words, the motivation that he needed. He went forward, round 5, pinned him up against the fence. Hey, and he got the job done, got the stoppage. But
it's like, I don't like the Leon Edwards comparison to Salt Lake City because it's such a different fight. Leon Edwards, outside of round 1, was getting clearly defeated every single round. You know what I mean? But Pereira was way more competitive with Adesanya than Rocky Edwards was with Kamaru Usman. And it wasn't a shot out of nowhere. He tracked him down the whole fight and then landed the shot to finish it off eventually in the 5th round and then barraged him with a great combo. We move on to another moment though, because there's so many and I want to get through all of them in today's video. We go to 4 minutes 50 in the video for this next one right here. 4 minutes 50. There we go.
As well, he deservedly climbed on top of the division. However, he dominated it in such clear fashion that the UFC needed fresh meat. They needed a fresh narrative. So guess what? They fast-tracked this guy, this huge Brazilian.
He dominated it in such clear fashion. He arguably lost to Whittaker and Yoel Romero, and the Cannonier and Vettori fights were nothing special either. And obviously Blachowicz fight wasn't in the division. Jesus, look at the gyno of Israel Adesanya. That is back in full form right now. I don't know if you guys can see that here. No, you can't actually see the gyno that I'm talking about. Jesus Christ. The gyno is back in full form for this fight with Alex Pereira. You know he's putting it all on the line. Either way, I don't like the idea. He didn't dominate the whole division and make it so clear that they had to find someone else. No, it was really tough fights for Adesanya. Arguably lost to Whittaker in the rematch. I think should have lost. Arguably lost to Yoel Romero. Either way, we move on.
From Adesanya's kickboxing days, the guy that basically chased Adesanya out of kickboxing by beating him twice.
And he goes on to talk about who Alex Pereira is. We move on to another moment that annoyed me. Because there's so many moments where I was listening to this and going, what are they talking about right now? I'm getting annoyed. Darren Till's best friend.
Since he's got to overcome.
I'm going to give you the answer right now.
No, it's Bisping. Darren Till's best friend says he's got to overcome this, and can he do it? Can he overcome Alex Pereira? And this is Michael Bisping giving his opinion on who he thinks can win the fight. and he's leaning Israel Adesanya.
Answer right now, Nick. Yes, he can, because he wants this. He truly believes he's the better guy.
Because he wants it. Really, really great detailed breakdown there. He really wants to win. That's how he beats Alex Pereira, and that's why he can beat him.
Believes he's the better fighter, and he had every opportunity in the world to go take a hiatus, go rest on his laurels, spend some money, go on holiday, but no, the competitor in him, the fighter in him said, no, I want to get right back in there, reclaim my belt, and put this to bed once and for all.
It's not that impressive. Like, obviously he would take the immediate rematch. There's so many worse takes that I'm going to get to. Obviously he would get the immediate rematch, but Israel Adesanya can win because he wants to. Let's not forget that. We move on to 7 minutes and 8 seconds into this video. Oh my God, I've got fucking Parkinson's all of a sudden and can't find 7 minutes and 8 seconds. We're going to here.
Weren't that, listen, at some point, Izzy's got to win one purely based on the numbers, on an odds kind of thing. Listen.
On an odds type of thing. Surely he wins one of them. We move on though.
Izzy was the better guy. He was faster. He had the better striking, the better technical work, and he was the better grappler. He just made a mistake in round 5. He allowed Pereira to back him up against the fence.
I hate it when Bisping does this. He did the same thing for Masvidal versus Covington as well. He's the better fighter. He's better this, better that. Why can't anyone accept that Pereira might be better than him? He's beaten him 3 times, arguably 2, but still. Like, I hate when Bisping does this, though. This is the bit I hate that Bisping does all the time that he does it.
He just made a mistake in round 5. He allowed Pereira to back him up against the fence.
Pereira had him backed up against the fence all of round 2, pretty much. And whenever they were in the center, Pereira then backed him up against the fence again. In round 4, he had him backed up against the fence as well. At points in round 1, he backed him up against the fence again. Like, Adesanya was there almost willingly throughout the entire fight. But it wasn't a mistake when he was backed up against the fence in round 2, 1, or 4. No. Only when he got caught and beaten because of it was it a mistake. It was almost his game plan to skirt around near the fence and back up the whole time. I don't... And he allowed Pereira. It wasn't something that Izzy chose to do. Pereira forcibly put Israel Adesanya there. I hate this. From the commentary, they did the same thing with Covington versus Masvidal. Jorge's letting him pressure him. No, Covington's doing that to Masvidal. And even Bisping screamed, and Joe Rogan was saying this as well, that Masvidal was letting and allowing Covington to recover after he dropped him in round 4 for a split second and Covington popped right back up like nothing was wrong with him whatsoever. It's always like the fan favorite is letting something. He's allowing the person to do something. He's making a mistake and allowing Pereira to pressure him up against the cage. You wouldn't have said it was a mistake at any other point in the fight. In round 1 when he was doing it, it wasn't a mistake. Round 2 when he was doing it, it wasn't a mistake. Round 4 when he was doing it, it wasn't a mistake either. It's only a mistake because he got caught doing it. It's nothing to do with how good Pereira is. I'm so sick of just hearing, and he's got that one. This isn't Wilder Fury. This isn't Wilder Fury. It really isn't. It's like Fury AJ, but if AJ had the power of Wilder. That's what this kind of is a bit more like. You know? But either way, we move on to another situation. That just really annoys me when they do. He allowed him. He let him do it. He made a mistake. No. Sometimes the non-fan favorite fighter can actually do something good that deserves a bit of credit. He pressured Adesanya against the cage the whole fight long, and eventually Adesanya's number came up. We move on to 9:33.
As well, but there's plenty of ways for him and his team to dress it up and say, look, listen.
He's talking about what mentality Adesanya should have going into this rematch against Alex Pereira. Okay? And what he thinks Adesanya should be thinking going into the rematch with Alex Pereira. Listen.
Worst enemy as well. But there's plenty of ways for him and his team to dress it up and say, look, listen, look at round 1, 2, 3, 4. You were cruising to a victory, brother.
He lost round 2. He was losing round 1. Like, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like it was 4-0 Adesanya, and then Pereira landed one shot out of nowhere in the 5th. Like it's so good.
Brother, let's just keep doing that. Here's what you did wrong in round 5. You allowed yourself to get backed up against the fence.
He did it all fight long. He allowed himself. Not he was put against defense by Alex Pereira, who was really effectively pressuring him and giving him shit to worry about and pushing him back and trapping him and tracking him down the whole fight long, which is what was really happening. No, Adesanya allowed himself to be put up against a cage. He let it happen. It was on Adesanya that it happened. It's so annoying when they just do nothing but it's on the fan favourite fighters. It's the fan favourite fighter's fault that he lost. It's never the non-fan favourite fighter like Alex Pereira who did something good to get the win. It's always what the superstar did wrong. And I hate that. And they constantly do it on commentary. It's so annoying, dude. Allowed him to be backed up. He was backing up the whole fight voluntarily. And Pereira was tracking him down when he didn't want to be backed up against a cage. If it was working for the first 4 rounds, no one had a problem with it. You know what I mean? But as soon as Pereira catches him, now it's he let him put him there and made a mistake by doing it. No, he did it the whole fight long. Either way, we move on to a bit more of this.
You know, you got caught with that big left hook. The left hand of Pereira, that's the big one to watch for.
Of course it is, Bisping, you genius. Either way, we move on to another moment at 11:42 into the video. There's so many moments in this video that I was just rolling my eyes at, like, oh my god, they don't know what they're talking about, man.
A moment or two ago, Mike, from Pereira's point of view, he knows that he can be 4-0 down on these cards.
Voldemort, you fucking he who shall not be named. Adam Catterall. I named him. Hit me with a Nevada Kedavra, why don't you? You know what I mean? Fucking hell, dude. He knows he can be 4 rounds down and still get it done. He was not 4 rounds down. He won round 2. Round 1 was really close. I'm so sick of hearing this. Like it really was. Like, oh, he's getting absolutely schooled. Played with. Made a mockery of. And then landed 1 punch. No. I don't care if Adesanya wins this weekend. The way these people break down fights is so... Don't upset the star. Don't upset the superstar. Whatever we say, we can't upset the superstar and his fan base. It's so annoying, these corporate guys, man. They don't stop shilling for the superstars of the sport.
Yeah. He knows he's just got to land that one big hit and he could turn this fight in his favour.
Well, there you go. We move on to another moment. 12:39. I'm sorry, I get annoyed at this. I love this sport and I hate when people ruin it with their dumbass takes that they get paid to make. If I get paid to make MMA takes, I make them good. You know what I mean?
And if Glover Teixeira's at the helm, he should be like, bro, we got to work on this takedown defense. We got to work on these get-ups because Israel had you in a lot of trouble. So, yeah.
The only time Pereira got taken down or ended up on the ground was when he went for a takedown in round 3. He stuffed every other takedown of Israel Adesanya, who tried multiple times in that fight. There was not a showing of bad takedown defense. We got to work on the takedown defense. Like, it's not like a frantic thing. He showed he can defend the takedowns against Adesanya. If he doesn't go for the trip that he went for in round 3 with a body lock and get it reversed, he would never have ended up on the ground in round 3. Either way, though, we move on to another moment. 13:11. Right here.
Both sides, but so far, through luck, skill...
He's struggled to say the word skill. So far, and he's about to mention so far.
Whatever you want to call it, fate has just looked down on Israel Adesanya and said, no, you are going to lose on this occasion, but you might get the next one.
It's not fate, luck, skill maybe. No. Alex Pereira has his number and tracked him down in 2 different sports and KO'd him. This isn't Israel Adesanya world and Alex Pereira is some side quest in it. They're all individual people. It's everything that I hear from ESPN and BT Sport is all Adesanya centric in everything that they say and do to break down these fights. You know? If some reason, just Israel Adesanya, the fate shined down upon him and said, you won't win this one, but you might win the next. No. Alex Pereira is really good and he beat him twice. Arguably 3 times, but I don't think he won the first fight. But still, it's so annoying. Look how he struggled to find the word skill but he immediately had the word luck.
But so far, through luck, skill, whatever you want to call it, fate.
Fate. It's fate that Pereira beat him. Sorry. 17:08 into the video. A little bit further in, I believe this is now talking about Burns, Masvidal maybe, or maybe still Pereira, Adesanya. We'll see.
Life. Listen, Gilbert Burns even dropped Kamaru Usman on several occasions and nearly finished him in rounds 1 and 2.
That just is incorrect. just thought I'd include that. He hurt him once in the fight. He dropped him in rounds 1 and 2. You know what I mean? Like, he had a moment of success against Usman, and then, you know, he dropped him either round. I don't even think the first one was a knockdown even. But it's just another thing that Bisping's plucked out of his one eyeball. We go to 18:55 in the video for another thing that really annoyed me. Burns had one moment where he knocked Usman off balance. Well, he hurt Usman, and Usman stopped himself from going down. It wasn't like a knockdown. He didn't get dropped in rounds 1 and 2. Like, either way, we go to 18:55 right here.
Yeah, and especially when you've got Leon hinting that fact.
This is Darren Till's best friend, and now apparently Leon Edwards' best friend, that's going to talk about what's next after this Burns-Masvidal matchup. Whilst, by the way, number 5 Gilbert Burns and number 11 Jorge Masvidal is on the screen for everyone to see. Just want to point that out. Darren Till and Leon Edwards' best friend is here to give his opinion.
You've got Leon hinting the fact that he might be in Miami this weekend himself with the belt, sitting cage side, waiting for who he hopes will be the number 1 contender, and that will be Jorge Masvidal if he comes through.
Who he hopes will be the number 1 contender, and that'll be Masvidal if he comes through. Okay, dude. Sure, forget Burns. Burns won't be a number 1 contender if he comes through. This is the most annoying thing about the whole Masvidal should get a title shot argument, or the winner of this fight should get a title shot argument, or the Covington doesn't deserve a title shot argument. The most annoying thing about it is that then no one's mentioning Burns. The winner of this will be a title eliminator, and that's what Masvidal will be if he gets the win. Like, I hate that people are saying Covington doesn't deserve the title shot, which is what these guys are saying. A lot of the media corporate members have been building up Bilal Muhammad, who should get the title shot over Colby Covington, and saying he doesn't deserve it. Everyone in the big corporate media has been going after Covington's title shot. We've seen it a bunch. Give us a better argument than Masvidal. Burns, if he wins. Fair. I would have no problem if people were saying, oh, if Burns wins, he deserves it more than Covington. No problem with that. I don't mind that, to be honest with you. But it's just like, but if Masvidal wins, stop bringing up Masvidal as the reason why Covington doesn't deserve it, as the replacement for Covington. Burns is in this fight as well, and he might win, and he probably will win. But no one's talking about him being a potential number 1 contender, even though he's number 5, and Masvidal's number 11, and probably won't even be in the top 5 if he wins this fight, because Wonderboy is going to be in the top 5 at number 5, because he beat Masvidal, and so did Covington. We move on to another moment, which is at 26:33. God, it really did annoy me, this video, and there were so many moments where I'm just like, God, man, I can't listen to these guys anymore. I'm listening to my own videos back from now on.
But also stylistically, isn't Colby...
He's talking about Edwards should take the Covington fight just because it'll be easy for him. Easier than Usman for him. And I believe that this is true, but not for the reasons that Nick Peet suggests. I think Covington presents... I think, first of all, Covington is a better technical wrestler than Usman. Okay? I think his kickboxing is better technically than Usman. But Usman has the physicality over him. The strength, the EPO, and the power on the feet. But Nick Peet, of course, they don't like Colby Covington. None of the big media members like Colby Covington. So he just goes on this little take here.
Stylistically, isn't Colby just a worse kickboxer and a worse wrestler than Kamaru? He's just like a...
He's not a worse kickboxer and wrestler. He just doesn't have the physicality, the power that Usman has. The strength that Usman has. If anything, I do believe that Covington will be more effective with his takedowns on Leon Edwards than Usman would be. You know what I mean? But the problem is with Covington is he doesn't have that threat factor for Leon Edwards to worry about. Edwards doesn't have to, I might go out cold at any point on the feet. That's something that really held him back against Usman. It's not just Covington's a worse wrestler, even though he's way better credentialed. You know what I mean? And out of the two of them, he's the one who got a takedown on Usman. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, both of them pop right back up. Either way, if Covington and Usman had a wrestling match, Covington would win a wrestling match by the end of it. You know what I mean? It's just the intangibles, the power of Usman making Edwards hesitant on the feet. I think he'd have a much easier time on the feet with Covington. Even though Covington might have better technique than Usman, Edwards would have an easier time because he doesn't have to worry about being KO'd at any moment with one shot. Either way.
He's just like a worse version of Kamaru. And you've just trained for Kamaru twice. So in terms of stylistically, okay, he sets an incredible tempo. Colby has a psychological way to win there. But in terms of Colby's just got beat twice by Kamaru Usman. And now you want him to fight Colby? Cool, man. If I was Leon, I'd take that all day. Because stylistically, I've just beat a guy better than him anyway.
The last fight between Covington and Usman should have been a draw. So people just brushed that over as, oh man, Usman lapping the division. Just beat Covington again. It arguably could have been a draw, but no one brings it up. No one brings this shit up, man. But if it was a superstar that everyone liked, and they liked, they would bring up the fact that they arguably scored that fight for him, or it was a draw. Either way, I don't mind the take on this. It's just to openly say worst kickboxer, worst wrestler is just not the reality of that fight. In fact, Covington's wrestling style could be more effective against Leon Edwards than Usman's wrestling style, because Usman doesn't do anything with his takedowns ever. And if you look at the two Masvidal fights, between Usman in the first fight with Masvidal, when Masvidal had a day's notice to fight him, and Covington against Masvidal, when Masvidal had a bunch of training camp and a very long time to prepare for him, Covington did a lot better with his wrestling. We move on to another moment in this video that made me annoyed, if there wasn't enough already at 35 minutes and 22 seconds into it. And this is a petty thing, but it does annoy me because it shows that outside of the big fights, they don't know what they're saying.
When a last-minute opponent change.
Talking about the last-minute opponent change for Alex Morono against Santiago Ponzinibbio and how that affected Santiago Ponzinibbio.
And then when a last-minute opponent change comes in, it can take something away from your game. With all respect to Alex Morono, he's coming up from the weight division below.
Is he coming up from the weight division below? Or has he been a welterweight for the past, I can't even remember how long it's been. Want to say for at least the past 10 fights of his career, he's been at welterweight. But no, he's coming up from the weight division below to fight Santiago Ponzinibbio on short notice. Little things like that. They don't know. They don't really know. They're reading off their screens the Tapology things and they're just blurting out words. And this is something that I just think sums it all up at the end of it.
Maybe you don't, you're not as fired up for the fight. You're not as switched on. And he almost paid the price for that.
This is the bit that annoys me. And this is the end bit where I was like, okay, I'm making this video now. Bisping didn't even know what division Raul Rosas Jr. was in. And I'm not over-exaggerating that. He just didn't, man. We need I love these guys personality-wise. Bisping's alright personality-wise. I don't really give a toss about the other two, to be honest with you. Darren Till's best friend and Voldemort. Don't really care about him. But I get that it's not supposed to be all accurate. But when you're breaking down fights for the people and being paid to break down fights for people, be right than saying Izzy was making a mockery of Pereira. 4-0 up. He let himself get KO'd in round 5 and made a mistake. Morono's coming up from the weight division below. These are basic things you got to know. 41-47.
And one loss. It is a next step up. It isn't whoever the champ is. What weight division are we in here? Is this lightweight? What weight is this? Bantamweight.
And this is the guy who's commentating these events. He don't know what division Raul Rosas is in. What is this, lightweight? Is this lightweight? And he had to have Nick, who's the other one? Adam Catterall. Sorry, he who should not be named. Whatever his name is. Voldemort. He had to have him correct him to say, oh, it's bantamweight. This is a bantamweight fight. Raul Rosas is a bantamweight. And Bisping might have been commentating this event in some alternate world. Can you imagine if he didn't know what division he was in? Like, Jesus. No, I'm not. I know I'm nitpicking. But this many times in one little video for the breakdown of this fight is crazy.
One loss. It is a next step up. It isn't whoever the champ is. What weight division are we in here? Is this lightweight? What weight is this? Bantamweight. It's not Aljamain Sterling, Nicholas. It's
I could ask a casual fan, hey, what weight division is that Raul Rosas Jr. guy in? They'll probably guess bantamweight correctly. Sorry. Had to vent that because it really annoyed me listening to this. I was on the rowing machine watching this and listening to it, and I was just like, oh my God, dude, they're annoying me every 5 minutes. Get better at your jobs. If you're paid big bucks, so many UFC fans or MMA fans in general would beg to have a job where they talked about MMA for a living. Be better at it if you're getting paid so much money to waffle about it. And you don't even know what division Raul Rosas Jr. is in. And you think it was 4-0 to Adesanya, making a mockery of Pereira. Like, the bare minimum is being done by the people employed by the UFC because there's too much job comfortability because no one calls them out for it, man. Do your research. Morono has always been a welterweight as of recently. Maybe at one point way earlier. He was a lightweight, I believe, at one point. Maybe a very long time ago. But over the past 5 years, as far as I'm aware, he's been a welterweight. See you later. Goodbye.